He was yelling, he was upset, like it was it was everything that you can kind of like think of. This man was pissed off. My neighbors are knocking on my door and they're like, hey, something's going on with your car. Nia, like, I can't put any gas in the car. And I'm like, what you mean you can't put any gas in the car? Like, what? Like, what's up, y'all? It's your girl NiaOlivia, back with another video, and I got a story time for y'all. And this is definitely a cautionary tale, and whoo, what a tale it is. Even as I recount this instance or these circumstances, because it's a lot going on with this story, I'm in awe a little bit of it. But anyway, I'm telling you all, I'm sharing this with you all so that you do not have to go through the same things that I went through. Hopefully we can learn from it. It happened when I was in college. I was living in Louisiana for the time. So I don't want to hold you. Let's get into this. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And let's get into the story time. Okay, so let me tell y'all how it started. So back in probably like maybe, I want to say like March, I met a guy on Bourbon Street for some type of celebration. I graduated from Southern University of Louisiana. I go to New Orleans all the time. That was nothing. It's so close to Baton Rouge. Like, it's such a quick, little drive or whatever. This guy was from New Orleans, but he lived in Houston. We were kind of like just talking on the phone. Now, I'll be just straight honest, from the beginning. He wasn't someone that I was necessarily like interested in. Okay, so I'm just gonna preface this story time and be real with y'all and say that during this period of time in my life that I'm about to discuss, my mind frame or my way of looking at men, it was not appropriate. I saw men as, I don't know, I can't even say, because like I had really close guy friends and then I had guys that I interacted with on more of like a dating level, but I just found no interest in men besides maybe what they could bring to the table. I wasn't looking for a relationship at this time in my life. Number one, focused on school. I meet this guy on Bourbon Street and we exchange numbers and we continue to communicate. He lives in Houston, but he's from New Orleans. He hits me up probably a couple of months after we met, says, hey, I'm gonna be coming down there. I wanna, hang out with you, woo, woo, woo. So I'm like, okay, bet. So we kind of like made plans to do the mall and, we made plans to like go to the mall, and then he was planning on taking me shopping. Okay, that was like what the plan was. The day that he's supposed to come down, he ends up leaving later than anticipated. And he's like, oh, I'm just like hitting the road in the evening time. So in between Baton Rouge and Houston is like 4 or 5 hours. I can't remember exactly how much time. When he got onto the road and he started getting closer to Baton Rouge, he called me and he's like, hey, I'm kind of worried about having to drive down there with the police and everything. Like, I don't want to get pulled over. It's like late night, kind of concerned. I was like, okay. And he was like, would you mind me just like coming to your house? Which by the time that he would have been getting to my house, it probably would have been almost like midnight. And then he was like, and I'll get up as soon as the sun comes up and I'll head down to New Orleans to go stay with my family, because that was the plan. I was like, I kind of thought about it, but in college, I don't even want to say I was more free, because it's not really about being free. It's just having more it's not even immediate trust in people. I didn't worry as much. Like how now I'm like worried about stuff and I'm like concerned, like absolutely not. I don't want you to come to my home kind of thing. Back then it was just different. And so he was saying that he was only going to be there for this short time period. So I'm like, okay, he's just gonna come here for a minute. So he ends up coming to my house. I remember us like sitting up and maybe like watching TV and stuff on my couch. I don't think that we got into the bed or anything. I know I had a 1-bedroom, but I know that at some point I was uncomfortable within the situation of him being in my house. So I just don't remember the entire details of that, but there was nothing that like, nothing happened, okay? He gets up at 6 and leaves. Like, he heads down to New Orleans just as planned. So I was gonna meet him down there later on in the day. Yeah, we planned to meet at the mall and then we were going to get some Red Lobster. Let me just break this down how this works. With my homegirls that I had in college, Cindy and Monique. They were some go-getters. I don't think they would mind me saying their name because you wouldn't know their, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's random names. So very much two go-getters or whatever. Like, Monique was from Houston. Cindy is from Michigan. And I can't say where she's from because she's from a small place, so that'd be too, like, pointed. Both of them grew up where they were more acclimated to the streets than me. They had more experience just in certain situations than I did. I was kind of like green in comparison to them. They like opened my eyes to a lot of things because I never really thought about men in terms of someone paying for stuff for me or like buying me things. Like, yeah, if he was like my boyfriend, but like just another guy, like I didn't really know a lot about that. They would kind of like hit me the game where men were concerned, and just kind of like tell me, you know, this is how you should maneuver, this is how you do this is how you do that. Like things that I just hadn't really been exposed to prior to meeting them. I'd already let my friends know, and they decided, okay, bet we're coming too, because we didn't really know who he was. Now, one thing, this is just a tip for women, you know, I always was a person who had my friends around me. My friends always know where I am. If I was going with a guy, I'm sending his license plates. Even now, if I go kick it with a dude, I'm sending his information to somebody that I know. It may not be a friend, it might just be my sister, but somebody has that person's personal information before I even head over there, because I don't want any questions. If you haven't heard from, like, no, we know exactly where she is. We know exactly who she was going to see. Like, there's no questions about the situation. Always let someone know exactly where you're going, so that's just a safety situation. So anyway, my homegirls decided, okay, boom, they're gonna come with me. Like, we used to always be together and kick it with guys, like we just always were together. But in this instance, they were coming with me, but the guy did not know that they were gonna be there. But they were gonna be kind of like, you know, surveillancing, kind of just making sure everything was straight. And I think we were gonna like run a few errands in New Orleans while we were down there anyway. We get down there and I don't know if they like let me out at a different place. I don't know how it really happened. I get out and link up with him. And so I go to the mall with him. We end up, you know, going shopping. Y'all, it was Forever 21. And I still remember how much it was because it was like $121. Because it wasn't worth the pain and turmoil that happened. That all came. We go shopping. When we're in the store and we're shopping, Cindy and Monique are also in the store. Like, they're walking around. And y'all gotta understand, like, it was so funny to me because if I'm that nervous about somebody and I really have an inkling that something is strange about this dude, why in the world would I still keep going? But it was like, oh, I want to get these clothes, you know, like I graduated from college quite a while ago. So, you know, Forever 21, that was like something like, ooh, he's taking me to Forever 21. Afterwards, we go to Red Lobster. When we went to Red Lobster, Cindy and Monique were also at the restaurant. They were sitting at a table off to the side. Now, I was with him kind of like maneuvering around, but of course I was just telling him like, oh, my car is parked over there. Go out to Red Lobster and everything. Okay, so after Red Lobster, he's like, look, I'm going to go visit my family. And I'm like, okay, you know, thank you for the stuff and everything like that. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm free. I got everything that I needed. Now I can go ahead and get out of here. Like, you know, it was over or whatever. We head back to Baton Rouge. And when we're heading back to Baton Rouge, he calls me. And I'm like, hey, you know, and he's like, I'm gonna come by your house. I'm just gonna go visit my family right now, and then I'll head back to your house afterwards. Now, before he was even coming down, there was never a conversation about him staying at my home. Except for when he called me and said, this is an emergency kind of thing. I don't want to get pulled over by the police. Can I come stay at your house? Never was there a plan where he was staying at my house. Because I would never set that up. Like, that just wasn't even a thing for me. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to come stay at your house tonight. And I was like, no. I said no, like straight out the bat. Like, I was like, no, I don't want you to come stay at my house. I was like, that's not gonna work for me. I was like, we never even discussed that, and I don't know you well enough for you to be coming back to my house again. Before it was just like more of a courtesy kind of thing, but no. Like, I'm not comfortable with you coming back again. Especially because I remember the night before, I wasn't necessarily super comfortable with him. And I know it's like, Nia, but why did you go meet this man later on? Anyway, like I said, my mentality was messed up at the time. He's like, okay, well, he calls me the B word. He's like, okay, B, bring me my clothes. Like, come meet me right now, bring me my clothes. Now, keep in mind, I was already on an interstate, okay? Heading back. Like, I don't know if I got to New Orleans earlier and did some stuff with my friend. I can't remember, but I was headed back at this point. And so I was like, no, I'm not turning around. I was like, and on top of that, because he wasn't just calling me a B, he was yelling, he was upset. Like, it was it was everything that you can kind of like think of. This man was pissed off. And so I'm like, no, I'm not going to bring you, I'm not going to meet you anywhere and you're going off, you're cursing and stuff like that to me. You're using profanity. There's no way I'm going to meet you. You're too irate at this moment in time. And to me, it was just like like I said, the mentality that I had, it was like, I don't really care. I don't really care how you feel at this point in time. If we talk again, it's not gonna pain me. Like, it's not gonna matter to me. Y'all don't cross nobody from New Orleans, okay? You cross somebody from New Orleans, you better be ready for the repercussions, okay? And I had to break it down syllable by syllable because what happened after this was crazy. So at that point in time, we end the phone call. I blocked him. Not only did I block him, but I used to change my telephone numbers like ever so often. So like probably like a week later, I end up getting a new cell phone number. Like I would let my numbers go. I only would keep a cell phone number for like 30 years. So I'm like, I don't want anybody reaching out to me from the past. So, okay. I want to say, no, I must have changed my telephone number some days later because a week from the day is when the next part of the story happens. A week later, I am at home, right? I'm chilling at my house and I have company and we're just like chilling, watching TV, whatever, until probably like midnight. I don't know why midnight keeps being a time frame. And at midnight, my company left. When my company left, they were parked right by like my car or whatever. When they left, they didn't say anything like about my car. They didn't notice anything strange, like nothing. So I didn't come out of my house until like the next day in the afternoon when I got a knock on my door. So my neighbors were knocking on my door. This is the next day. This is a week later and then the following morning. My neighbors are knocking on my door and they're like, hey, something's going on with your car. Something's going on with your car. So I'm like, what the heck? So I get up, I go outside and look at my vehicle. And I kid you not, all 4 of my tires were slashed, okay? All 4 of my tires were slashed on my car. I don't even think it's so crazy because I didn't even think right away that it was that person from the week before, like it was that guy. Like that wasn't the first thing that came to mind. I just was kind of like in shock from it. And the apartments that I stayed in Baton Rouge were very ducked off, okay? Like you had to hit this little side road, go down another road, and then they were almost like motel style apartments. That was the worst place I ever have stayed in because I just don't feel like that place was safe. It wasn't safe. And I remember I stayed on a corner at the top on the right hand side. But yeah, I have to tell you because I had a neighbor who was stalking me a little bit. That's a whole nother story. Okay, so I see the slashes in my tires. I called the police. I see the slashes in the tires. I called the police because you could see each one of my tires had been slashed like at least 4 to 5 times, however they did it. And the police came, but they weren't able to lift any fingerprints off of it. They weren't able to get anything, so they took a report, but there wasn't anything that they could really do, like there weren't cameras out there. There was no way to really like track it. So, okay, One of my friends that I went to college with took me, and I got like new tires for my car. He put the tires on. Well, they weren't brand new, but okay, y'all know those tire places that you can go to? You can get like a used tire or something, or you can get like some real cheap tires. It was like one of those kind of tire places. Ooh, thank God I don't have to use those anymore. But okay, went to one of those kind of tire places. Got my got 4 tires put onto the car. My friend helped me, and I'm back rolling. I don't think the whole scenario set into me because I don't know. I don't know where my head was really, but it definitely was something that was scary to me because I'm like, someone has come to my house in the middle of the night, because they had to have done this in between midnight when my friend left and daylight. So it's like they were out there in the dark. Like I said, I stayed in a very, very remote area. No one would want to be outside there, you know, late at night or anything like that. It wasn't the spot to be at. So it just was very concerning to me. And then I was at the point where I think I was graduating within like less than a month or a month. I was ready to go. I'm just ready to get done with school. I don't want to even be here anymore. Like, I just want to get out of this city. Y'all, I wish this was the end of the story and I could just say, you know what? I learned my lesson, like, you know, don't, you know, use people and all that. Well, that was a part of the lesson, but I hadn't learned it yet fully anyway. So, okay, got the tires on the car. Boom, your girl rolling. All right, I'm rolling again. So the next thing that happened is that I had a guy friend. We'll call him Old Man James, okay? Because he was an older gentleman that I was cool with. And so, you know, I went to go see Old Man James. We were hanging out, and he needed a ride to go pick up his paycheck, which he worked at like a plant out there or something. I'm driving him to go get his paycheck. Well, when we go to go pick up his paycheck, he couldn't get his check because I think he had on like a wife beater. Like, I don't know if at certain plants back then they didn't let you come in if you had on a wife beater, but he couldn't pick up his check. He was kind of off too. Like, I don't know. Let me not judge him. But anyway, he was a nice man. So we stop at a gas station. James is pumping the gas, but I went inside into the store. And so when I come back outside, he's like, Nia, like, I can't put any gas in the car. And I'm like, what you mean you can't put any gas in the car? Like, what? Like, huh? So he's like, I can't put any gas in the car. And I walk around, and where the gas tank is, it's like, gas is like seeping kind of like out. Like, as he had the thing in, but the gas is drizzling out or dripping out. It's coming out. Like there's nothing that can get in there. Like, he can't put any gas in. I'm on E, y'all. Like, when the incident happened with my tires, I had a full tank of gas. In college, I would be driving my car all the way down to the end of the line, okay? Like, once it got to the end of the line, I'm like, oh, okay, it's time to put some more gas in. Like, whatever. But now there's no gas that can go in. I'm like, what in the world could be going on where I cannot put gas in my tank? Again, guys, I'm sitting up here I'm not even thinking to myself that this is related to the incident with my tires getting slashed. But what are the odds that 4 of my tires get slashed and now I can't put any gas in my car? Go inside to the store or whatever, and keep in mind, like, Old Man James didn't have any money. His check was his last, like that, not his last, but his next, okay? And he didn't get his next, so he didn't have any money. And I'm a college student. I really didn't have any money either. So we have 2 adult people here right now who don't have any money on them. Now, I had credit cards though, I think. I can't remember. I know I had credit cards. I don't know if I had them physically on me. At this point in time, I called my mom. And I'm like crying now because I'm just like, what in the world is going on? Like, why is all of this stuff happening? Like, I don't know how I'm gonna get back. And the thing is, the plant is like 30 minutes, maybe 25 to 30 minutes south of Baton Rouge. So on top of me needing to get my car towed to a shop and get fixed, like, it's got to be towed a distance. It's not just right around the corner or anything like that. And I don't know anything about the mechanics out here. Like I don't ever think while I was in college, like I had to take my car to a shop. Like I bought it when I was like a junior. I had never put my car into the shop except when I had an accident. I'm just like in a panic now because I'm like, okay, how am I gonna get the car towed? I don't even know what's wrong. On top of that, now I'm annoyed by old man James because it's like he can't help with anything. He's just here. He's just a fly on the wall for the situation, watching everything kind of like fold out. Well, while all of this is going on, there are two gentlemen, two brothers, sitting off to kind of like the side. And so I know they heard me and saw me like crying and going through, you know, the whole like panic attack that I was having about what my next move was and what I was about to do. And then keep in mind, I couldn't just call any guy that I know because I'm with a man. Like it was a weird scenario. Like I can't really call anybody to come. Like I'm here with this guy. Like even though he wasn't a guy that I was like with, again, I say he was a friend and I had male friends. It still just didn't add up for me to be calling another man like, can you help me during this situation? That just wouldn't have worked. These men hear everything that's going on. And they come up to me and they're like, hey, you know, how are you and everything like that, like telling me, you know, you should calm down and stuff. And I think that with them being older gentlemen, they were able to pretty much sum up the situation and analyze it fairly quickly. They were coming at it from almost like a fatherly perspective to me. Like, this is a young girl, probably a college student. Like, Baton Rouge is a college town. She's here. We don't know who this individual is that's with her, but she's in a panic. She's upset. Let's see if there's any way that we can like help out or assist in anything. So I was talking to them, explaining to them pretty much everything that had happened. Like, my tires got slashed a week ago. Now we can't put the gas in the tank. They were like, you know what? We actually work on cars. And I'm like, really? Okay. So y'all, this is one of those moments where you feel like there's angels watching over you, or like God is constantly watching over you, even when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was dead wrong, okay? Dead wrong at this point in time. But still, God was watching over me. Like, I can't even describe it. These are two strangers at a gas station. They don't know me. And I'm also here with this individual. So they're like, you know what, we actually work on cars. And I explained to them, like, I don't have any money to like pay you all. They're like, we heard everything. We'll get your car towed to our house. And we're gonna get the car there, and then we're gonna figure out like what's going on. Y'all, who does that? Who does that for a stranger? Like, I cannot even explain to you all how thankful I was for them to say, like, we will get your car towed back to Baton Rouge. Not only did they get the car towed back, but they're like, it's gonna come to our house. So they were like, we'll get the car back to the house, and then we're gonna figure out what is going on with the vehicle. They never asked me how I knew old man James. They never passed any like judgment, like, what are you doing with this man? They were like, we'll take him back. Okay, Baton Rouge is a small place. They're like, we'll get him dropped off over back to his house. They were like, are you hungry? They're like, we're gonna get you something to eat too. They went and got me something to eat, but y'all, they didn't even just get me something to eat. They bought old man James something to eat too. Like, what are the odds? I hope God bless those people like infinitely. Like, they deserve nothing but joy, peace, happiness, love, everything. Like, they need it all because they helped a stranger. We get back to Baton Rouge. They took James, dropped James off at his house. My car was towed from there. They had a tow truck that came and got the vehicle, and then we rode with them. They took me to the house, and then one of the men took James back because there were two gentlemen. When I got over to the family's house, y'all, one of the men, it was his home. His wife was there, grandkids, son. The son came outside and started helping them work on my car. They told me to go inside with the family and watch TV. Y'all, I went inside these people's house. I don't know them. And I'm with their family. They allow me to be in the presence of their family and go inside. Like, there just are some good people in the world, and it reminds me that they're good people. So anyway, they're like working on my car and everything, and I was there for like half a day almost, I think, during this process. And so they're working on my vehicle, and they call me outside, and they're like, hey, come outside. I go outside, and they showed me. They took apart my gas pump or gas, I don't know what the pieces are, but y'all, if you know about cars, you probably know. And in there was still a half of a candy bar. So a candy bar had been stuffed into my tank, but like the entire candy bar hadn't dissolved. There was still a portion of the candy bar that was still there. So not only did this person slash all four of my tires, but they put sugar in my tank. And y'all already know, when you put sugar in a tank, it's virtually like the car is basically gonna be no good. This car was paid off too. So that's also what was very upsetting to me, was like to be a college student, to have a car that was paid off. My mother paid for the car for me, bought and made the car payments for me. She just made me pay the down payment on it. To have that then taken away, or basically like they were able to repair my vehicle so that I could get back to St. Louis, which is where I'm from, because I was graduating from college like a couple of weeks later. The car was drivable, but it was done. Like, it never was the same vehicle. It never was the same car. It was always shaking and everything. And I can't remember, I probably had that car not even another year. I think I had it for like maybe 7-8 months, and then I was driving another vehicle, that some other car in St. Louis, but it wasn't that car. To sum it all up, y'all, these people fixed my vehicle. When they got done fixing my car, everybody came outside and prayed together, like in a circle, like a family, like, you know, prayer and everything, the kids included. And they just prayed over protection for me. Like, it still overwhelms me with emotion to even think about it, because nobody owes you that. But they just decided to just be genuinely awesome people. And it also was just a lesson for myself, because I should have never been dealing with a man that I knew that I had absolutely no interest in. And then I'm trying to get these cheap clothes, and look what happens. It cost me so much more because I wanted something that was so small. So the moral of the story is, thank God they fixed the car. It definitely dampened my whole graduation, because I didn't even go to my college graduation. All I was trying to do was pack up my things and get up out of my apartment. I didn't even want to live where I lived anymore. I just did not have the comfort level at that point in time of wanting to stay there. Because like I said, I was already in such a remote area. I'm just like, I'm done. I just think, like, women, we have to be careful about trying to use people, because when you try to use certain people, things can really come back on you that are really, really bad. The repercussions can be so much more than what you thought. Like, you were getting this thing that was small, and then the repercussions, the karma is crazy. And so I take full responsibility for everything that happened. If he was the one that did this, I mean, I hope there wasn't somebody else out there that would do that, but I assume that it was him. It definitely made me move different. It definitely made me more cautious with people. But I still had to learn a whole bunch more lessons even after that. So the moral of the story is that you are going to pay a price for everything. And it may not happen immediately, like the situation I had where bruh got me like a week later, but it could come back to your life later on. And so we just have to be careful about using people, about manipulating people for things, because ultimately it's not worth it. Thank goodness that this man did not hurt me in any type of physical way, that he did not try to kill me. I mean, you gotta understand, when you do something to someone, you don't know how their mindset is. You don't know how they process situations, or what they decide to do in order to be vindictive towards you or to get back at you. Ladies, just be careful out here. Be careful dealing with these men. Be careful thinking that you're getting something for nothing, because it can definitely come back on you. And I just want y'all to definitely learn from my situation. I want to hear from y'all. Have y'all ever had any kind of situation like that? Have you ever had your tire slashed, candy bar in your tank? Have you ever had anyone vandalize your property? If so, leave it down below. We want to hear what your story is. Thank you so much for tuning into this video, y'all. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can be notified anytime I post new content. Be blessed.